Hello friends, today I'm going to teach you replica plate technique. This technique is ideally used for isolation of mutants. You must have heard about mutants. Mutants are clone of cells which arise from a parent population but ideally have different properties than the parent. For example, if the original parent was lacking the ability of synthesizing their own vitamin and amino acid requirements, then this mutant, after being exposed to a mutagenic agent, develops the property of producing their own vitamin and amino acid requirements. So, how do we start? The very first thing is step one, exposure to a mutagenic agent. Here, basically, we are going to make use of UV light as the mutagenic agent. Now, you can make a culture suspension containing around 10 raised to 8 cells of Escherichia coli, and this particular culture suspension can be placed into a sterile Petri plate. The lid of the Petri plate should be removed and it should be exposed directly under the UV source, somewhere around 20 centimeters, a difference of height. This exposure can be for variable period of time, like you should expose at least for 20 seconds minimum, and you can go highest to up to 1 minute. Besides that, then the culture can die. After this, you can actually put the culture for repair either by the light repair technique or the dark repair technique, or you can directly make the dilutions of this particular culture suspension and plate it. When you're going to plate it, on the very first day, you are going to plate it onto a complete medium, which is going to be M9, containing the vitamin as well as the amino acids. In this particular case, the culture which has been exposed to UV would have repaired by some or the other mechanism, and they will make use of all the nutrients that are present into this particular media, and they all will grow in the form of a colony after 24 hours. But ideally, this is a mixture of the parent as well as the mutagen. Now, how will you only come to know who are the mutants among this? So, after the completion of 24 hours, you will basically plate it again onto another plate, which is going to be called as a replica plate. But for doing so, by you will have to make use of something called as a replicating block. All right. Now, each of the colonies cannot be picked up by hand and they cannot be transferred onto the media. It's going to be quite difficult that way. So, best is to make use of a replicating block along with the velveteen cloth, which both are sterile. The velveteen cloth and the spikes present onto it will basically become the material for picking up each colony from the original media. Okay, and then under the aseptic conditions or sterile conditions, you can transfer these particular colonies onto the replica plate. Now, basically, the replica plate is not going to contain the vitamins and the amino acids, so it's a incomplete media. So ideally, even if the velveteen would have picked up all the colonies, but they will not be able to grow onto these particular replica plate unless and until they have developed an ability to produce their own vitamin and amino acid. And if after 24 hours you do see colonies present onto this particular media, then these colonies are of the mutants, because after exposure to UV light, they have developed a new property which was absent into the parent population, and now they are capable of producing their own amino acid and vitamin requirements, and thereby they have developed the ability to grow on an incomplete media. This way, now you will have a mixture population and a mutant population. So basically, you can reduce the mutants from the total number, and from there you will come to know what is the parent. Don't expect the mutant population to be very high, because ideally you have initially diluted the number of cells here. So definitely the mutants might be less. But don't you think it's an amazing and a quick technique to get mutants?